What are we discussing on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast? How the D-backs look like the Washington Generals against the New York Mets. And can the highest paid player on the D-backs, Corbin Burnes, set us back on the right track in game number 2?
You are Locked on Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. You're listening to who? Always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas, multimedia journalist and graphic designer. So please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there, you can see all my latest work, from my packages to my articles to my photos and my graphic design. If you want to see more content by me, please follow me on Twitter at CareerThomas24 for my personal account, because I've been going live on YouTube Sunday through Thursday after D-backs games, and the place I tweet before I go live to notify you guys is Twitter. So please follow me on social media. Please follow me on YouTube, Locked on Diamondbacks. You can also hit that little bell notification icon so you guys get notified when I go live. So please follow me wherever you stream podcasts. And on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, we'll be discussing that game, Washington Generals versus the Globetrotters. Those were the vibes in game 1 against the New York Mets. We'll talk about why the D-backs need defined bullpen roles with Kevin Ginkle coming back, and can the highest paid player on the D-backs, Corbin Burnes, save us in game number 2. So we got a whole bunch I want to talk to you guys about on today's podcast, but first I want to say thank you for making Locked on Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free. It's available on all platforms, so please continue to tell your friends. Now let's get into that Locked on Diamondbacks podcast and talk about D-backs versus Generals. Mo Crayon said, describe today's game in 5 words or less, Millie. The best way I could describe it in 5 words or less: Harlem Globetrotters versus Washington Generals. That was the vibe of the game. The Mets and the D-backs, they were playing like they were operating on 2 different levels. It was like watching the New York Mets take on like the Savannah Bananas. Maybe that's too harsh, too critical of the Arizona Diamondbacks, but they have not been playing good baseball recently. They have lost 5 of their last 6 games, and the concerns for me are starting to grow. This is a D-backs team that has been dominated by the New York Mets the last few years. I believe in their last 22 games. I think this is just in Citi Field. I should maybe double check this, but I think the D-backs are now 4-18 in their last 22 games at Citi Field. So they go into New York, they get destroyed. Maybe that's overall against the Mets, but it's never a good time going to New York and playing the team in orange. For some reason, we do okay against the team in blue and the pinstripes, but against the Mets, they seem to have our number. And in today's game, game 1, they destroyed us 8-3 in like all facets, from offense to pitching to defense. The Mets just clearly outclassed the D-backs in game number 1 of this series. And it's hard to tell that entering the year, the D-backs and Mets were considered on the same level. I mean, you go back to last year, these 2 teams were pretty much neck and neck when you look at their record post All-Star break. Pretty much the same team offensively, record-wise, in terms of the win-loss column. They were both, going to that final day of the regular season fighting for a playoff spot. So there's a lot of similarities and parallels between these 2 teams over the last couple of years. And of course, we also talked about Lindor versus Ketel Marte in the MVP race last year for a runner-up. And so far in 2025, the Mets look like they're taking that second half and they're using it to propel themselves to a big season in 2025. Meanwhile, the D-backs, they added Jock Peterson, Josh Naylor this offseason. They came in with a rotation healthy, a lineup that scored the most runs in the National League last year, and they have not taken that leap that we want to see so far in 2025. And it's super disappointing to see. In tonight's game, we saw Erod. I've been very impressed with him so far in 2025. He's been a strikeout machine. I think he's looked way improved from last year where he was a massive struggle for the Arizona Diamondbacks, where it's like, if we didn't have Jordan Montgomery this whole offseason, we would have talked about how Erod was a major disaster for the D-backs. But so far in 2025, I thought entering today's game against the Mets, he's been pretty good. But this start today was maybe like the second worst start by D-back starter all year. I would say the other start in New York, Merrill Kelly versus the Yankees, where he gave up 9 earned runs. I would say that one was a little bit worse, but this wasn't much better by Erod. He gave up 8 earned runs in this one. He gave up 3 home runs, and he wasn't even really making bad pitches. He did struggle to locate a couple times. I think the problem is he doesn't throw hard. He's like 92, 93. And when those balls stay in the middle of the strike zone because he's not afraid to attack opposing hitters, he was challenging the Mets hitters. The issue was the Mets hitters did not lose a challenge against Erod. And when he did miss with his location, the Mets were sending it to the outfield bleachers, which was a problem for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, that one Pete Alonso, should we go on StatCast real quick? Because I never go on StatCast to look at other teams' home runs, but we might need to do it real quick for that Pete Alonso, because that one he had off Erod where Lourdes Gurriel, I don't think Lourdes Gurriel turns his head on the play because it was so clearly like out of the ballpark. I don't think any of the outfielders even reacted to that ball. Let's see if I can find it. Pete Alonso home run, 107.8 off the bat, 416 feet, 30 for 30 in all ballparks. So yeah, that was a monster slam by Pete Alonso in that situation. Erod, I thought he was attacking the zone like he normally does, but the Mets hitters, they capitalized on every mistake. And even when Erod was making good pitches, the Mets were just doing a better job of hitting. There would be times it would be up and in on the hands of a Mets hitter, and they were still able to get the barrel to the ball. And it was just disappointing to see, because I thought Erod wasn't terrible tonight, but it's also hard to say that when you give up 3 home runs and 8 earned runs. The D-backs overall, I mean, their offense did nothing. They were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Now, I do want to give the Mets defense some credit, because that was the other frustrating thing about this game. The offense couldn't capitalize on their situations, and then the Mets defense just decided to become a vacuum. Pete Alonso turned into Christian Walker at first base, diving. Did we see like 3 diving stops over there at first base that saved a couple of hits? Francisco Lindor had that one crazy, was it him who had like that diving stop and he flips it over to the shortstop who throws it to first? I think that was Lindor and whoever was over there on the left side. I can't remember exactly. And then, of course, Tyrone Taylor, that ball in the gap by Lourdes Gurriel where he just Superman dives for it. Like, just insane defense by the Mets in this game. The offense by the D-backs does nothing. The pitching by the D-backs, at least their starter in Erod, not very good, because the one positive from this game was probably Ryan Nelson, who came out the pen with 4 innings, looked fantastic. And so if you want to put a positive on today's game, it's Ryan Nelson. But the other question I have leaving today's game is, why would Josh Naylor sitting in today's game? I know it was his first day off of the year. There was a lefty on the mound, so you could say, oh, he's been playing all the time. There's a lefty on the mound. Let's give Josh Naylor a rest. I would be okay with that if the D-backs weren't coming off an off day. We were already having an off day yesterday, so why does Josh Naylor need back-to-back off days when we're entering a series against one of the hottest teams in Major League Baseball, and the offense for the D-backs has been struggling? Naylor has arguably been like the second best player all season for the D-backs, so why are we just sitting him? That's one of those instances where if he's not hurt, we're just saving guys for later in the year, just trying to ease his workload. Well, guess what? We need to put more of a workload on Josh Naylor, because he's been fantastic this season, and the D-backs need these games. We saw last year how early season struggles can affect you the rest of the year and really push your season back, and it seems like we haven't learned anything from 2024. D-backs have lost 5 of their last 6 games. My concern level is growing. This was an uninspiring game by the D-backs in game number 1 against the New York Mets. But hey, in game number 2, the D-backs have their highest paid player on the mound in Corbin Burnes. And we'll break down and preview that game in segment number 3. But next, I want to discuss why the D-backs bullpen needs defined roles in segment number 2. But hey, if you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keeping you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love all the variety of Wonderful Pistachios because I got me in my kitchen right now, lightly salted with the shell, lightly salted unshelled. I even have like a chili, like lime roasted one, that adds a little kick. Like they really have every kind of flavor, plain, they got seasoning, shell, no shell, like whatever you want. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Back here on the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, looking at some comments. Coda Kid said, "We got beat up tonight." Yes, we did. And Mo Crayon said that defensive inning was all over social media immediately. I mean, the Mets, gotta give them credit. They made some incredible defensive plays in game number 1 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. But now let's discuss why the D-backs need defined roles in their bullpen, because recently the D-backs reinstated Kevin Ginkle. He's back with the team, and with him now back in the fold, AJ Puck out, Justin Martinez dealing with velocity concerns. There's just a lot of things up in the air right now with the D-backs bullpen, and that's why I want to discuss why the D-backs more than ever need defined roles in their pen, because a guy like Kevin Ginkle, it's so important that he's coming back to the D-backs. He's been so important to Arizona the last couple of years. Ever since he's rediscovered himself in 2022, he's been a vital part of the D-backs bullpen the last couple of years. You look at his numbers in high leverage situations the last few years, he's been so important to Arizona. In 2023, the year that the D-backs got to the World Series, of course, that was probably the most important year we ever seen from Kevin Ginkle, as he was the setup go-to guy in the 8th inning, and then in the postseason did not allow an earned run at all, was nails throughout the entire postseason, a 669 OPS allowed in high leverage moments in the regular season. Like, it was a very good year for Ginkle in 2023 and kind of his breakout year. It started in 2022, but in 23, he really had himself a breakout year. 2.48 ERA, 65 innings pitched, a sub-1 whip, good strikeout numbers, and then followed it up with a very similar season in 2024. And so this is a guy, 3 years now, huge for the D-backs, back into the bullpen, high leverage moments, critical, clutch situations in a game. Kevin Ginkle is a guy that the D-backs have really relied on over the last couple of years. But one area where Kevin Ginkle has not really been that effective is whenever the D-backs try to make Kevin Ginkle the closer. For whatever reason, Kevin Ginkle is great as the 7th inning guy, the 8th inning guy, but historically, when you tried to make Kevin Ginkle the closer, it has not worked out for the Arizona Diamondbacks. When you look at his numbers and save situations in his career, a 4.35 ERA in save situations and a 3.11 ERA in non-save situations. It's weird, but some guys are built for the back end of the bullpen and some guys are not. Kevin Ginkle, Ryan Thompson, I believe those are 2 guys who are not built for the back end of the bullpen. Those guys are inserted in the 7th inning, the 8th inning. Those guys are really fantastic. But for some reason, whenever we try this closer by committee approach, those guys just typically don't work out. I've seen Kevin Ginkle as a closer enough. At one point, I thought Kevin Ginkle was going to be the closer of the future for the D-backs. I thought that back in 2019 when he was first coming on the scene and looking electric and had that fastball slider combination working. But since then, we've realized he's had his up and downs, and we've realized that Ginkle probably isn't cut out to be the closer. We've tried to put him in that situation. We've given him those opportunities. He's proven to us he's probably not built for the closer role, but a guy that's your 8th inning setup man or as your 7th inning high leverage guy, yeah, that works out for you in a big way. Same with Ryan Thompson. His numbers in his career in the 9th inning, he has like a career 8.1 ERA, but he's elite outside of the 9th inning. So this brings me back to my point that the D-backs need defined roles. This is not a segment about why the D-backs need to make Justin Martinez their everyday closer, even though that's what I believe and what I've been saying on this podcast. But I'm actually saying this right now because Justin Martinez isn't the everyday closer, and he's dealing with serious arm fatigue. And until he's fully healthy, fully back to being 100% Justin Martinez, I want the D-backs to have a structured approach. I don't want Torey Lovullo going with the committee and going with his gut and going with the feel every day of, oh, who should be the D-backs closer today? Let me pick a name out of a hat. No, if Justin Martinez is not the closer because of his health, the D-backs need a structured approach. That's why we need defined bullpen roles. Until J-Mart is fully healthy, the pseudo closer for the D-backs should be Shelby Miller. He has been the guy that's been the best reliever probably for Arizona outside of Justin Martinez. Again, hasn't allowed an earned run this year. I would make Shelby the 9th inning guy. I would make Kevin Ginkle the 8th inning guy, and then the combination of Jalen Beeks and Ryan Thompson as your 7th inning guys until Justin Martinez is fully healthy. And then once J-Mart is back, of course, he's the closer. Now, I'm not putting J-Mart as the closer. I'm not even using J-Mart as a reliever until he's fully healthy. If you're talking about his workload, if you're talking about keeping J-Mart, ready for the rest of the regular season and for the postseason, well, I don't want to throw him out there when he's clearly not right. J-Mart in his last 2 outings, the velocity took a big dip. And if we go to J-Mart in a big situation in the near future and his velocity hasn't changed, I think that's a big concern and a big critical moment against the Arizona Diamondbacks. If you are just running over the future of Justin Martinez and saying we don't care about the fact that we're putting him out there when he doesn't look 100%, that would concern me as a fan. I don't think the D-backs are going to do that, but if we see J-Mart out there in the next couple of days and his fastball is only topping out at 97 miles per hour, then everything we've heard about the D-backs trying to manage their guys and caring about their health for the rest of the regular season, you could throw that away. But until I see J-Mart come back out, we're going to hold our reservations because he clearly did not look right in his most recent outing. And so until J-Mart is back to full health, let's have a structured approach. Let's have defined bullpen roles. Shelby, you're the closer. Ginkle, you're the 8th inning. Thompson, Beeks, 7th inning. And then once J-Mart comes back fully healthy, he's the closer. And then everyone else moves down a spot. You do Ginkle in the 7th, you do Shelby Miller in the 8th, and then almost like Beeks and Thomas become your specialists. Not really, but they get utilized more in like the best kind of situations for their strength. So for the Arizona Diamondbacks, I don't want Kevin Ginkle's return to cause chaos in the bullpen. I don't want there to all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, what's my job? What's my role? Do I go to the game today? Am I the closer? Am I the 7th inning guy? Like, no. Ryan Thompson talked about it in this past spring training, how important defined roles are for a bullpen, how important it was in 2023 when he came into the game every day, and he knew he was the 7th inning guy, Ginkle 8th inning, Seawald 9th inning. These relievers like to have that structure. As a fan, I like to have that structure. I like to know Justin Martinez is going to be our closer when he's healthy. And so Torey Lovullo, I'm hoping he comes up with a better plan with Ginkle here, with J-Mart struggling with his health and his velocity. Let's have a structured approach and have defined roles for every reliever in the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen. Now we'll discuss if the D-backs' highest paid player in Corbin Burnes can get them back in track in game number 2, in segment number 2. But first, I want to talk to you guys about Monarch Money, because ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch Money, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. No more doing DoorDash every day for me. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And if you're all right, back here on the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. And now let's discuss Corbin Burnes and if he can deliver the D-backs a win and get us back on track. Because, of course, I want a start where I feel like Corbin Burnes finally makes me feel like he's worth the money. It's something we've talked about a lot on this podcast, how it's very arbitrary, it's very subjective, but I just haven't been wowed or really impressed. And I'm still waiting for that first start. That's really what I'm waiting for right now from Corbin Burnes. I want that first start where I sit back in my chair. I say, wow, I see why the D-backs paid this man $35 million a year. I see why he's the highest paid player in franchise history. I see why he's been considered a Cy Young favorite and one of the best pitchers in the sport over the last few years. Because so far in 2025, I have not seen it. Now, has Corbin Burnes been bad? No, he's been fine, right? Like you look at the stats, you look at the game logs for Corbin Burnes this year, he's been fine. One mediocre start, we give up 4 earned runs, and then every other start outside of that, 3 earned runs or less. No really blow-up starts. Like he's been fine. He's been great at keeping the D-backs in games, right? Like all the games where Corbin Burnes pitches, close when he leaves the game, like right? Can you not be happy? What more can you want if you're an Arizona Diamondbacks fan? Well, I want a lot more because as good as Corbin Burnes has been at keeping the games close, right? I'm not paying Corbin Burnes franchise money just to have fine starts. Starts. I'm paying Corbin Burnes franchise money to have Cy Young starts. I'm tired of the starts from Corbin Burnes where I'm just like, at least he battled and kept it close for 5 innings. Like that's a phrase you say when your number 5 starter goes out there and has a good start and you're happy with him, right? Like that's what you say when Zach Davies goes out there and has a fine start. Because right now, Corbin Burnes is kind of giving me Zach Davies vibes. Maybe that's insane to say, but go back and look at Zach Davies' numbers his first year with the D-backs in 2022. Zach Davies wasn't that bad with Arizona. In 134 innings pitched, he had a 4.09 ERA. He was actually fine for the D-backs. It was a lot of games. It was like 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, and it was like, oh, Davies kept the game close. Davies, D-backs still in it. Okay. Corbin Burnes right now, kind of doing the same thing. In 26 innings pitched, a 4.05 ERA. Like, you take away the names from the back of the jerseys, and the stats tell you Davies, Corbin Burnes, not that much different of a player from what we've seen so far in 2025. And that's not why we're paying Corbin Burnes. It is a good quality to have, keeping games close, but not when you're making $35 million a year. Corbin Burnes, we need him to step up in a big way going against the red-hot New York Mets, a team who is going to be in the D-backs way all season long for the postseason, for a wild card spot. Like, we need this series. We need to stack dubs against the New York Mets because we saw last year how you can lose out to a tiebreaker based off games in April. And so, despite it being super early in the season, it's not even May. This is a very important series for the rest of the year. And the D-backs are going to need their highest paid player in Corbin Burnes to step up and deliver a big win. We saw last year how struggling early, especially against a team also vying for the playoffs, can cause season-long ramifications. Corbin Burnes in his most recent start was cooking against Tampa Bay through those first 3 innings. I think it was 9 up, 9 down. He was cooking early. Finished with 8 strikeouts. A season high 8 strikeouts. The best swing and miss stuff we've seen from Corbin Burnes all season. But at the same time, he started to walk guys in that 4th inning, started to give up loud contact, and then he unraveled in the 5th. And that's an issue for Burnes. We've seen games where he started slow, finished strong. We've seen starts where he started hot and then fizzled out. We need a complete game from Corbin Burnes. I don't know if we're going to get it in game 2 against the Mets, but I'm still waiting for a 7-inning elite performance from Corbin Burnes. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts. Like, we have not yet seen a performance like that from Burnes. He started great last week against the Tampa Bay Rays, 9 up, 9 down. Let's see that continue. He was putting guys away with the strikeouts. That cutter looked effective. He was confident. Then he started walking guys. Then he started giving up loud contact. I don't want to see that against the New York Mets because that would lead to an outpour of runs for that team. This season is not a disaster like Mad Bum or Monty, their first year with the D-backs, but the vibes still aren't great. But it's still early in the year, and if Corbin Burnes walks away game number 2 with a dominant performance, he can have a sub-4 ERA after game number 2. So still early in the year and still a lot of time for Corbin Burnes to have a pretty good stat line by the end of 2025. Now that's it for this edition of the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. Come back tomorrow for more Diamondbacks news coverage and insight. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Doses.